Welcome to Conversate, our podcast where we engage in conversation. On this week's episode, Aaron and Kevin are continuing our conversation about the Psalms, and this week we're talking about an imprecatory psalm, which is probably not a word that we throw around very much, but it means to call down divine judgment on someone else. And you might wonder, is that okay to do? Should we be doing this? Well, we're going to kind of get you into the Psalms and why these Psalms exist, and that it is actually okay to lift up your heartfelt concerns to God and let Him deal with those situations according to His good and gracious will. As always, it's our goal that you will hear something in this conversation that will inspire you to start another conversation with somebody else. I hope you enjoy it.
Hey. Morning, sir.
Oh, don't break my new mug.
I wanted to see if I could get that frothy top that you got there to just bubble over.
Uh-huh.
I wanted the benefits to bubble it over.
Wow. Is that from the King James?
No, it's from the side of a bubbler can. I don't know if you ever drink bubbler. Those caffeine.
I've heard of it.
Non-coffee drinks. They're quite refreshing. I really enjoy them.
Wait, does it have like natural caffeine in it? Bubbler.
Sounds
Bubbler.
right.
It's like a tall, skinny can?
Tall, skinny can, no E. B-U-B-L apostrophe R.
I bought a few of those.
What'd you think?
Gas station. It's a carbonated, refreshing treat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But with a burst of energy.
Supposedly.
I think so. I notice it more than like if I drink bubbler, not to be confused with bubbly, which I also like.
Oh, yeah.
Those are just carbonated, refreshing beverages.
Right.
But they don't, so far as I can tell, do anything for your energy.
I don't know.
Also, they're way more carbonated, I think, than bubbler. I could probably chug a bubbler faster than I could chug a bubbly.
I've never tried it.
Oh, man. Because bubblies, dude, those things. I get a little too, thirsty, and I take a too big of a drink, and oh, and that was just a special treat for you audio listeners. I'm trying to get into, I forget what they call that thing where people make noises into microphones and it's supposed to be soothing.
What?
Are you aware of this?
No.
Yeah, it's like a whole, dude, there's people out there with like multi-million followers.
They just make sounds with their mouth?
Yeah, usually they're like really soft sounds like this. Wow. And maybe they'll have some special gadget that they do. I don't know too much about that.
That made me
world.
really tired. I could have had you whisper me to sleep last night. I struggled to fall asleep last night a little bit.
Dude.
I'll call you tonight if I need any help.
Don't call a professional.
No. That was nice. I liked what you did.
Well, I'm a novice, but like that actually is one of the uses that people have for these things. Yeah, straight up. It's supposed to be some sort of help you get to sleep kind of thing, help soothe your nerves. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I've never tried it out myself. I should.
That's why your nerves are a wreck.
Exactly. This is one resource I've never tapped into. It just sounded weird to me,
Yeah.
That's why I never did it.
Yeah.
But
also something a little creepy.
They're out there.
Well, there's something for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's evidence that most people have too much time on their hands.
Yeah, well, this is part of
this world is not hard enough, Kevin.
Well, I mean, that is absolutely one of the, I think, reflections of our modern society and like progressive humanism is with our capacity to invent new things or be creative in technology so that our lives become easier. Time still is the same amount. So,
right.
So if you make things go faster, you do have more time on your hands.
But then, it's like we've made life more complicated by because we don't have to work so hard just to live. We have more time to recreate, and because there's so much time to recreate, there's so many things to recreate with, and then that just ends up becoming like almost like a stressor for people because there's too many things to do.
And I think it's actually a good thoughtful question might be, is what you're doing in your recreation time actually an act of recreation?
Oh.
Right? I heard this the other day and I thought it was pretty neat. It's this idea that everywhere is a sacred space. There are no non-sacred spaces. It's just a question of whether those sacred spaces are being tapped into or whether they've been corrupted, or whether we're just not aware of it. And I think it's kind of the same idea when it comes to recreation, right? Like there are things you can do that may be more regenerative or maybe more positively stimulating. There's lots of things that are stimulating.
Yeah.
But is it a positive stimulation, or does it actually, instead of like energize or rejuvenate, do you find yourself more distracted or tired or on edge after you finish doing whatever you're doing with that? With that time on your hands. Yeah. But that is the challenge. You're right. Like in older epochs of history, you just had to do more stuff to survive.
And a lot of people still in this world to this day.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But we, live in a culture and a time where we live that's likely not the case for you and me. And so, that's sort of where we're sort of forced to be thoughtful about that spare time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, before we maybe get into the topic for today, which is not what we were just talking about. It's just
classic bait and switch. And we know you came here for the small talk.
Yeah. Well, let's do more of that, because I want to know where you've been the last while. So we had a week off of the podcast, but you've been out
gallivanting.
That's
right.
Introducing young people
to
growing deeper in their faith in Jesus.
Yeah, and that was the first half of that for me would have been back on June 28th. It was our first outdoor service. That same day, a group of 15 high school youth and 3 adult chaperones, including myself, headed down state just across the bridge to then get on a boat and go next to the bridge at Mackinac Island. And that's
Is there a reason you didn't catch the ferry from St. Ignace?
Yes. The reason is all of those logistics are planned by the Michigan district. So that's not our district, but they're gracious to host us. Our district is the North Wisconsin district within our Lutheran Synod. But the Michigan district have opened their arms to us as fellow Michiganders. And actually, they also opened their arms up to a couple of North Dakota students as well.
Serious?
Yeah. So apparently, you just have to ask.
Okay.
Just ask. And if they've got room, they'll probably be nice, and say, yeah, come along. So they planned it all. That's why we didn't take the St. Ignace and why we paid the fare. We don't know if they've got something, some sort of cahoots with the Mackinac Bridge people just to get that extra toll money.
Yeah.
But they're on Mackinac Island. The Michigan District hosts a summer gathering for about 1,000 youth every 3 years, I think. It's kind of like a stripped down version of another gathering you may have heard of in our synod, which is the National Youth Gathering, or the LCMS Youth Gathering, which takes place again every 3 years. And the next one's in San Antonio in a couple years. That's like 20-ish thousand youth. So this is a stripped down version of that, but same idea. Speakers, music, service events, and then just a chance to grow deeper in your faith. So it was really great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my oldest went on that trip as she's entering into high school. So it was it's just a different experience, like having gone on many of these trips, led groups on many of these trips, and then sending my own kid off, just as dad. So that was fun, and supposedly she had a wonderful time.
Oh, lovely. Did she tell you all about it?
She did.
Nice.
Well, I mean, all about it, I don't think so. But what she told us. So
nice.
We got a fair amount.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's good. I mean, it seemed like all of the youth had a good time, from what I could tell of our group and of most groups. I didn't really see. There were a couple. Not. There were just like a couple. Like on any trip with any gathering of people, you're gonna have some incidents. So there was like a medical incident for a student that I don't know how that played out, but that was probably difficult. But wasn't one of ours, so don't know the deets.
Oh.
But so I was there with the high school age, and then I took my own children over the weekend. So that high school trip was from Monday. We got back late Wednesday night, and then on Friday I took my 2 eldest children, Lily and Will, to Camp Luther, another great resource that is within our North Wisconsin district ministry here in the North Woods in 3 Lakes area for 80 years. And so I took them there for a weekend. It was Lily's 4th time, so she was an old pro, but it was William's first. And so he was a novice, but he jumped right in.
Yeah, then we crossed paths on the road because you were coming back from that while I was driving my 2 oldest kids to go there. So they're at camp right now.
That's right. And in fact, another Saints Peter and Paul Camp Luther connection was that on the way home from Mackinac, I dropped off one of our students with her family who was headed to a family trip, and they were missing one of the members of their family. And I said, well, where's she at? And they said, oh, she's at Camp Luther, finishing up her junior counseling, which is an opportunity for high schoolers for 2 weeks. And so, but we just missed her. It's the same kind of thing. She had just finished up, was leaving Friday, so we would have passed her on the way in, passed you on the way out.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then I was chatting with your younger brother's soon to be senior pastor at his first call in Wausau. So
yeah, very cool.
So yeah, this coming Sunday, your younger brother is going to be ordained.
Yep,
and installed as a pastor at St. Mark's Lutheran in Wausau. Is that the one?
That's correct. Also in the North Wisconsin district.
Yeah.
So we'll see him in the fall at the pastors' conference.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll see him. I'll be there for the ordination.
Right.
So I'll lay a hand on him or two. And I got to think of a Bible verse.
Yeah.
Probably something about brothers born for adversity.
We've been in the Psalms. We got some stuff we can.
Well, there you go. There's our transition. So at ordinations, oftentimes pastors will speak a word. Could be from the Psalms, could be from anywhere. But I've been hearing about these imprecatory Psalms. Maybe one of these.
Contend, O Lord, with those who contend against me.
Oh man, this could be sweet. This could be sweet. And I was not here for the last 2 installments, but right now, well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you, listener, what we're about to talk about because I don't even know. You tell me, Aaron. What Psalms you been reading? What you been getting into?
Well, yeah, we didn't have a podcast last week because I didn't monologue and anyway, there are things going on. So 2 weeks ago we were looking at a Psalm of trust, which is, just the title trust seems like an easier access than imprecatory or lament,
Yeah.
So
we started in lament, hit trust, most recently imprecatory, which is a word you're going to have to define.
Yeah. Well, even so with the Psalms of lament, with this imprecatory Psalm, with the Psalm of trust, like it's all tied together, which is really this idea that because we trust in God and we can trust in him because he's faithful to his promises, we can lament to him, which, I've been getting a lot of feedback from people. And maybe even the last time we talked on here, this permission to lament is really helpful for people's prayer life, and giving language to that. But we do that because we trust in God. So we kind of looked at that Psalm of trust, like are in the middle, we can trust God. And then this last Sunday looked at an imprecatory Psalm, which is actually this one we looked at, which was Psalm 35. Some people even classify it as a Psalm of lament, because these imprecatory Psalms and lament, they kind of go hand in hand. It's just the difference is imprecatory means to invoke divine judgment on someone, or maybe even in some certain cases to like call down curses upon somebody. But in the context of the Psalms, really, it's like you're being attacked, you're being oppressed, you're being abused. Somebody's committing evil acts against you. It's not they're not being kind. They're actually committing evil, and you realize that this is not good. You don't want this. It's not fun. And so an imprecatory Psalm then calls out of that kind of heartfelt affliction and almost like we have this desire for vengeance or revenge. It's like we're struck. We want to strike back. But the imprecatory Psalm 35, is actually like a psalm of restraint, because David is not seeking vengeance on his own. He directs it to the God that he trusts in and says, you got to do something about these people. Like, again, contend, O Lord, with those who contend against me. Like, take care of them. You know, it's this call for divine justice, because we want justice for evil. We want it to be taken care of, except we are not perfect arbiters of justice. And so the best that we will do is revenge or vengeance, you know. But we looked at scriptures in Romans 12 which is a quotation of a proverb, which is where God says, vengeance is mine, you know. And so Paul will say, don't repay evil with evil, but evil with good, you know. So it's all about the direction, right? So the imprecatory Psalms kind of address the reality that God hates evil as much as we do, and so we can talk to him about that and let him take matters into his own hands, because he will actually deal with evil,
Right.
in one way or another.
Yeah.
You know, either in the justice that comes in this world, or on the last day. Like, God is judge.
Yeah.
And evil will be dealt with.
Right.
So in the sermon, we looked at all of that, but also the reality then too, you know, is that we are all, by nature of our sinful condition, evil. You know, we are actually opponents and enemies of God. And so this is the gospel, right? And this is what is good news for us, is that when evil comes against us and we want to lash back out at us, we need to recognize like who we are too, you know, in God's standing, and that by nature of our sin, like we deserve his wrath. We deserve him to contend with us. Like we deserve condemnation. We deserve, you know, judgment for our sin.
Right.
But at the cross, Christ takes care of that. He bears the wrath of God, so that all judgment, all justice over evil is dealt with there at the cross, and we receive the righteousness and the mercy of God in Christ. So kind of relationally then in this life, like we can't be people of vengeance or revenge against our opponents. We give mercy because that's what's been given to us. All vengeance, all justice, all judgment, we give into the hands of the perfect judge, who is gracious, merciful, and just. You know, so that's like that's just the balance. It's like,
yeah. Well, that's what I'd like to reflect just briefly on, because there was a lot there.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, and it's intricate, but it's all kind of tied together. So there's kind of two themes that I heard you sharing, and the first was just sort of like a commentary on the Psalms themselves. So these Psalms, even of lament, trust, and imprecatory Psalms, they're kind of woven together.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like it's kind of a question of how are you responding to the evil or injustice that's occurring to you. Because thinking back to the Psalm of Lament that I had preached on just before Trust, same kind of thing in the sense that it was foreign armies who had come in and destroyed and ravished Israel.
Yeah.
So they're in the midst of oppressive evil coming after them. But the psalm that that particular psalm was not so much imprecatory. It was really just lamenting, like, this is what's happening, and kind of, God, where are you in the midst of this?
For David in Psalm 35, it was there must have been people who were close to him, like friends or associates, who had turned their backs on him, because he has this section kind of right in the middle where he's like, why are they doing this to me when they were going through difficult time? Like I put on sackcloth, like I fasted, I prayed for them, you know, and they're returning. This is what they're returning to me, you know?
And just a window into David's own like personal life. Like, so he was king in Israel. He was,
so this would have been before he took the throne.
Okay.
So he's been anointed as
exactly
king, but Saul is still technically king, and David's not going to take him out. He has got opportunity to take him out, but he's going to let that justice let God
Play
handle
out,
that
yeah.
one. He's not going to lay a hand on God's anointed one.
Sure. Which, because in David's life, before he is made publicly the king of Israel, you've got that narrative, which would be kind of it's almost a secret anointing. Like God has chosen David, and David's aware of it, but not the whole congregation. And I can't remember if Saul's aware of it or not. He's certainly threatened by David. He sees people sort of like praising David's victories.
Yeah.
And so Saul, who is the father of David's best friend, for one, and David's been serving Saul. Like David's the one who showed up on the battlefield to rescue Israel, and Saul was like, yo, let me get you my armor. Like we're working kind of together. Great, yay, we've defeated Goliath. So to have that betrayal is tough.
Side note, this morning I had to burst my 4-year-old's bubble. We were reading a book and there was a giraffe in it. And he's like, do you think the giraffe is taller than Goliath? And I said, I think so, buddy. He goes, really? So in his mind, Goliath is
the tallest of talls.
Sorry.
He's 18 feet tall.
We talked about Goliath this morning. All right, continue.
But so you got there, and then later in David's life, but it sounds like maybe there was some context in the Psalm to suggest this wasn't later in David's life, but after he is king, like there's going to be a subterfuge, and there's going to be a plotting and scheming against David and his own. Who would this be? His own son? Is that No, it's
Solomon. What do you? Or
Absalom, right?
Oh,
Is it Abner? I get all these guys mixed up. You can read about it in 1st, 2nd Kings, but basically a relative of David. Either a relative of David or maybe it's in the lineage of Saul. One of the two is going to usurp the throne from David, and David's actually going to be driven out of Jerusalem. He's going to be rejected as king over Jerusalem. And so just similarly, there's betrayal.
Yeah.
There's betrayal.
Yeah. But I guess maybe just at a human level, can you think of times in your life where you've been hurt and you've wanted to respond and hurt back?
Oh,
maybe
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
and probably have, maybe even.
Oh, for sure. Like I have. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can think of serious examples, but I can also think of an example. I have an older brother.
Yeah, that's right where my mind went as well. There's a lot of opportunity there.
We used to wrestle all the time just for fun, and sometimes those, you're always trying to find the line.
Yeah.
And there was one time that we would, brothers, we would punch each other, but usually in the arm. It was kind of like, that's a safe place where you can hit one another.
Yeah, unwritten code.
And there was one time where somebody decided to go high and like punched the other in the face, and then we returned another punch to the face, and we both were like, "Ow, that hurt."
Took it to the next level,
and we kind of made a truce right then, like, let's not do that anymore. So there was one time we punched each other in the face, and it was like, that hurt my hand and
in my face. Yeah. Well, it's good, like mutual, recognition of, because this is part of going back to the imprecatory piece, which I'd love to come back into, is there is that discovery as you go along. Like if you try to seek justice on your own terms, of tasting maybe the bitterness of, or the reality of how difficult it actually is to administer pure justice. Yeah. Like typically, I think. Yeah, I guess it could go either way. Either, maybe there's a conflict that we're in. Someone's done something wrong to us. And either we don't really do something like directly back. So this would be the passive or passive-aggressive approach. We do all these little things, sort of like not even, it's like off to the side, like maybe we just say some mean things about this person. And maybe it never takes traction. Like the person we say it to is like, well, that was weird. I don't know why they said that. And they just don't care. And that's it. And that's the end of it, right? And it doesn't actually do any real justice to the person. So that's like sort of like not meeting the justice mark because it didn't attend at all to the wrong that was done. Or we can go over the justice and do something that's bigger and broader and stronger than really what the wrong deserved. I'm trying to think of a good example of that. One that does come to mind, though, it's not a good example of that per se, but have you seen the movie You've Got Mail?
I have.
Yes! We have found the narrow Venn diagram.
Yeah.
So in that movie...
That's at the AOL.
Yes.
That's the whole AOL. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's a throwback, dude. Those sounds are so nostalgic. But in the movie, if you haven't seen it, it's a love story between I think some woman and Tom Hanks. And I think...
Some woman.
Yeah, who is it?
Oh, my goodness. What's her name?
Exactly.
That's the one that he's always...
Meg Ryan?
Yeah.
There you go, Meg Ryan. I can't believe I pulled that out. I'm really bad.
I knew I had M.E. I could see M.E. and all I could think of was Mel. And then I was running Mel Gibson in my mind. I'm like, that's not it. So thanks for finding Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan. And I'm
pretty sure it's...
I think Tom...
They're in that and Sleepless in Seattle, I believe.
That's right. I think Tom Hanks is maybe like a super successful author, something like that. And she wants to be. She's sort of the aspiring one. And
doesn't she run a bookstore?
Or maybe that's it.
A little local bookstore.
Yes, thank you. She runs a local bookstore, and he owns like a mega bookstore, and she despises him because of this, because like she's squashed by the big monopoly. But she meets him and doesn't. No, wait. So that's the external. So she knows who he is externally, superficially. She's aware of this person, and he's Goliath. Let's call him that.
But they're like emailing back and forth.
They're emailing, and they don't realize that this email relationship they have is with each other. And she's like falling in love with the person she's emailing. And anyways, at one point in the movie, she has a confrontation with Tom Hanks in real life. And Tom Hanks just kind of rips into her. And it comes so easily and casually for him. And it just like stops her in her tracks. And then he walks out, and that's the end of that scene. And later, she's emailing her love interest, who is actually Tom Hanks. And she's basically lamenting that this happened and that she couldn't find the right words, to like cut him to the quick, and she wished she had. And Tom, the advice he gives over email, she doesn't realize it's the same person. So he's reflecting on the same exact incident, says something like, it's not as gratifying as you think.
Oh.
He says basically like, you might want that and you might think it'd be this great moment, but it's not. And there's sort of this like, there's a lament that Tom has for sort of like the bitterness he holds in being able to do this, and maybe it's because he realizes it's driven people away from his life. Mm-hmm. It hasn't served him in making real connections with people, et cetera, et cetera. So this is where, moving into the imprecatory Psalms, when you were commenting about them, you had me thinking about what a unique thing it is to be a Christian. Because the baseline we keep saying is, like, humans are creatures of vengeance or justice. I mean, put it in the positive or the negative, right?
Well, that's kind of how I even began the sermon, was like, you strike me, I want to turn around and strike you back. And I think that's because built into us, there is that desire for justice, for equity.
Made in the image of God.
Yeah.
He's a just God.
We want fairness. We want evil to be dealt with,
Yep.
It's just, if God's out of the equation, then it's on me. I have to be the arbiter of justice.
Right.
But if you think about that played out in life, like, man, what a burden to carry.
Not only that, again, going back to that idea of like under justice or over justice, like look at the history books and you'll see whole civilizations doing this against each other. I mean, this is how wars happen. And there's a whole theory of just war, which is trying to do things actually in a fair way. But you know that in these circumstances, that's not the way it always plays out, because we're not good arbiters of justice, especially if it's us being attacked.
Right.
We're way quicker to over deal out the justice, to really make the other side learn, to really make them sorry, and so there's it too easily spins out of control. However, I don't know. This is where it's intricate. There's maybe two things to say about this as Christians. One is, because you talked about sort of the merciful side, which is a great move for us and is part of how we live out our Christian faith. Instead of me seeking revenge, knowing that I am flawed, like I'm a sinner, and I'm probably not going to deal it out in a fair way. Instead, what I ought to do is go to the place which God has actually ordained for justice to be served, which is the next chapter of Romans 13. These are government institutions, at every level. So like, if you have some sort of infraction that's been done against you, don't seek your own revenge. Like, that's what the legal system is for. You might need to get police involved, depending on the nature of the incident. Right. Now, maybe it's lower than that, and you might just get a third person involved, some sort of neutral outsider, to help you process through, especially if you feel those heated feelings, which are normal and natural. But this is like why God has instituted the government, and this is how even in history he has used peoples to administer his justice. Right. And that gets difficult. Like, that's a difficult thing to really...
Yeah, well, I mean, in the sermon, I made the point, like, these imprecatory psalms, they make sense, especially if you think about if you've ever been abused or oppressed, or you think about, like, if a family's had a loved one's life taken through violent criminal activity or human trafficking, or a community dealing with genocide, like, just you put yourself in any one of those situations, you're like, man, yeah, like, this is horrific stuff that was done against me or my loved ones.
Right.
So I wanted, like, I tried to make the point that these imprecatory psalms it's a heart issue. Like, I think this is the thing a lot of times, like, scripturally, like in our faith life, it's a heart issue, which is like, is my heart seeking vengeance against these people? Or is my heart merciful and compassionate to them, and you put them in God's hands by praying these kinds of imprecatory psalms, saying, God, you deal with them. You deal with them. Like, I really, really trust that you are who you say you are, and you will bring justice over evil.
Right.
And so if you're in those situations, I said, like, praying these imprecatory psalms makes sense. Like, give it to God, However, I also gave the caveat, this does not give permission to people in this life to abuse you.
Right.
Or to oppress you. And this is not saying that you need to just need to deal with whatever's happening to you at an earthly level, and just be continuously what you might think is merciful by by just forget, like, not addressing it and just allowing those kinds of, like, that doesn't have to happen. Like, there is, that's what you're talking about, the government and these kinds of things. Like, there is earthly justice as well.
Yes. And that earthly justice is one of the ways in which God deals out his divine justice.
Correct. In time and space.
That's right. Yeah.
So you don't have to, like, this is not, being merciful to somebody who's abusing you doesn't mean that you don't have to allow justice to come for them.
Right.
So it's just like vengeance is not ours. Vengeance is God's over evil. Revenge is not ours. And so there's, like, so basically I'm saying, like, if you are in a place where you're being abused or oppressed or trafficked or whatever, like, we're not saying, like, just
keep it with you and God.
Yeah. Like, no, seek help. Like, to seek trusted people, whether that be us as pastors or trusted friends or the government, the police, whatever sort of situation that is. Like, you don't have to deal with those kinds of things. So that's important to say. But then in your prayer life, what is your prayer? It's not, God, let me at them.
Exactly.
Like, I wanna just let me have a shot at them.
Because likely you do. Like, likely you do want that. That is the natural human response.
Right.
And this is the space these imprecatory psalms give us to sort of take anger, which, again, anger is not wrong.
Right.
Anger is another reflection of your being made in the image of God.
Yeah, God, I mean, I said in the sermon, God hates evil.
Exactly.
More than you do.
Exactly. Yeah. He perfectly hates it.
Yeah.
And he'll hate it just to the right amount, and so that he can dole out what is exactly the appropriate a punishment. And that's the whole idea behind Judgment Day. I mean, so like we'll have earthly justice, which is God's way. But I mean, okay, it's God's way through imperfect means, humans. So it's not always going to be get it right. And here's kind of, I think another caveat too is, I think there is a great relief that comes, at least you see this in stories about some of those instances you're describing, when justice actually is served to the one who did the wrong. Like for a family, like if they're not able to have that done against the person, there's something that's sort of like unprocessed a lot of the time. However, like that's not the ultimate reprieve from those feelings of anger and disappointment and despair, right? Just seeing justice done, like there's something validating about it, because I think it's our desire to see justice done, which is God's desire. But just to see another person punished for what they did, like that's not what we see at the cross. So like the ultimate peace that you can experience is not going to come from just seeing those who did wrong have sort of the punishment plopped on their heads. It's appropriate, it's right, but I think we can fixate on that as well and lose sight of the greater healing that God gives through the cross, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just saw on the news this morning Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, the first time that she's entered the courtroom for some sort of hearing that's going on. It's not to trial yet, but for the alleged assassin of her husband, right? And so that was like the first time that, I mean, she's not called to the stand or anything, but just like there's this is the place where justice is going to happen, and she's there to probably witness whatever will come of that. But even reflecting months and months ago to soon after he was killed, and she stood up publicly and already forgave the person who took her husband's life, and so I think those kinds of stories are out there, of exactly. Like, I'm gonna forgive this person in my heart, put them in God's hands, put them in the hand, in God's hands, which is being doled out through the justice that's been established in earthly means, and ultimately God will be judge over every person's eternal salvation or condemnation, right? That's in God's hands. And so that's, I don't know, I was just thinking about that, as we're thinking about what this looks like at a practical level.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a nuanced kind of thing. It's there's a lot going on within it. But yeah, we're given space to take that anger, to put it in God's hands, to not let it run rampant, because it is one to do that with us, with humans. But yeah, I think also just coming back to the cross, and you took us there earlier, but just to end up there as well is the right place to go. Because again, this is the unique Christian perspective. Outside of this, I mean, in other religions, even karma, for instance, the whole idea is I want to see the people who did bad stuff. I want to see them get what they deserve. But the cross shows us that, look, we didn't get what we deserved. We didn't. And that just introduces a sort of mercy, which is so needed in all of our relationships for them to really flourish and thrive. Doesn't mean justice shouldn't be done. May justice be done. But thanks be to God that the justice we were due actually fell on Jesus' head. And may that, again, going to our hearts, infect our hearts in that way. In our relationships, regardless of the level of wrong that we're feeling or in the midst of. Then pray. Take it to the Lord. Yeah.
Awesome. Good conversation.
Yeah. Where are we headed next, psalm-wise? Kind of mixing it up.
Yeah, we're going to mix it up. I mean, it's got different titles. We're going to one of my favorites, Psalm 118.
Ooh.
You and I have in a resource that we had, this was classified as a liturgical psalm because it was used in liturgical worship, which when we read it, and even in our worship, you will notice that many of the lines in Psalm 118 are sung. through our hymnody, through our liturgy, all that kind of stuff. So, so some also classify it as a psalm of praise. So we'll throw it.
It is called the Hallel, isn't it?
It's the last one of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Of the Hallelujah psalms.
Hallel, yeah, which means to praise.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Hey, a little postscript on this. Kevin and I are holding living room mugs, hot off the press. The living room is a ministry that we're going to be opening up in downtown Houghton. From a heart level, a human level, we were hoping that this would be open by now. A little bit of delay, waiting on some contractors to do things right. So we're not just doing things to get open, but we're trying to get this thing ready for the long haul, and got to do some moisture sealing and stuff like that. So anyways, we've got mugs. These things will be down at the living room, coffee, all that kind of stuff. So coming soon to a city near you if you live in the Copper Country.
Hey.
All right. Hey, peace, buddy. Have a great week.
You too.